Only a couple months to the high school football season, and MaxPreps has released its preseason top 25. Modern Day taking the top spot, followed by last season's number 1 IMG with the new 4-star quarterback AJ Duffy, and St. John Bosco at 3 with the younger brother of DJ Uyunglele, Mateo, who's a defensive end and tight end for St. John Bosco. We're going to go through all these rankings here, beginning with 16 through 25, and Texas is the state with the most ranked teams. Texas has 6 ranked teams, including number 25, Denton Ryan, and number 20, Katy. And just outside the top 10, we have Collins Hill out of Georgia with last year's junior of the year in wide receiver cornerback Travis Hunter. We're going to hit on them. And number 13, Bishop Gorman out of Vegas to start things off with our experts from MaxPreps who do this each and every day. Steve Montoya and Zack Poff joining us here. Let's start with Bishop Gorman, perennial power in Vegas. They're starting over, having their 10-year state title streak snapped last full season in 2019. Steve, are they primed to start a new streak?
I definitely think so. And when you think of Nevada football, you got to think of Bishop Gorman. And they only got to play 2 games last season, this weird year. And so I know they're amped up, ready to play. Like you said, they're coming off 10 straight state titles from 2009 to 2018. And I think this Cyrus Moss kid, he's 6'6", 220 pounds, and the crystal ball from 24/7 Sports has him landing at Oregon. He's coming off the edge here. You could see him on film. And just think about this. He runs a 40 time in 4.6. I remember in high school thinking that was blazing fast for smaller guys to run. He's 6'6" coming off the end. So he's one of the stars of this Bishop Gorman team. You know, in 2019, they went 11-2. They lost in the playoffs. You're thinking that's a great season, but for Bishop Gorman, that is not. They play to win state titles, and they play for national titles, and they are a favorite here, especially in the state of Nevada. So watch out for Bishop Gorman.
All right, let's move to the number 11 ranked team in your preseason top 25. I mentioned last year's junior of the year, Travis Hunter, who just killed at both wide receiver and cornerback. Zach, does he have a chance to be player of the year this year for you guys?
Oh, easily. I love this dude. He's my number 1 player to watch. And, you know, the dude had over 1,700 yards receiving last year, 24 touchdowns. And on defense, he had 8 interceptions. He led Collins Hill all the way to their first 7A state title game appearance. They did lose to Grayson, but they bring back just about everybody. And not only do you have Travis Hunter, who could be a 5-star wide receiver or 5-star corner, they got a big-time quarterback in Sam Horn. He's a 2022 Missouri commit, also a big-time baseball player. He threw for nearly 4,000 yards last year. So I'm excited to see what Collins Hill can do this year, because they pretty much, you know, got on the map last year, and they got this other dude, tight end Ethan Davis. He's 6'5", 6'6", and I think he's going to benefit the most with Travis Hunter at wide receiver, because you're going to have to double team him all game. So that's going to leave one-on-one coverage with a 6'5", 6'6" tight end Ethan Davis, who makes plays like a wide receiver. So this is going to be a fun team to watch. But Grayson's been the king of Georgia lately, so they're going to have to get past that Grayson Hill. They lost 38-14 in the 7A state championship game last year. But the talent they got back, Chris, I expect big things from Collins Hill this year.
Knocking on the door of the top 10. Let's jump into the top 10 with a bunch of different states represented. 5 different states represented, 6 through 10 here. Florida, Texas, Georgia, and Maryland. My counting was wrong. That's only 4 states, but still a lot here in the 6 through 10 and the top 10 altogether. Let's hit on number 7, South Lake Carroll. Steve, they have one of the highest ranked players in MaxPreps history. Who is it?
Yeah, it starts with Quinn Ewers, and 24/7 Sports has him as basically a perfect rating in their composite rankings. We love this kid. He makes plays left and right. He's got the long, nice blonde hair flowing, and he can sling it at the quarterback position. And they came up just a little bit short and losing in the state finals last year. The head coach, Riley Dodd, lost to his dad, Todd Dodd, in the state championship. And Quinn Ewers is the man you got to watch. But I know Zach loves a kid, running back Owen Allen. He's not rated yet by 24/7, but this kid is going to be one of the top running backs in the entire country. He was on the MaxPreps sophomore All-American team last year. So the combination of Quinn, Owen, and a bunch of different studs they have throughout their team, I imagine Southlake Carroll will be back in the state championships and competing potentially for a #1 spot in our national rankings.
With the #1 overall ranked player and a perfect grade for the quarterback there out of Southlake Carroll in Texas. Let's jump into the top 5, and we are going to hit all 5 teams, beginning with Thompson at number 5. They've got 3 5-stars, Zach. Tell us about Thompson.
And you brought it up, man. They got 3 5-stars, and they're all on defense. So they're going to bring in one of the most talented and best defenses in high school football. You got to start with 2022 edge rusher Jeremiah Alexander. This dude is an absolute savage. #1 rated player in the state of Alabama for the class of 2022. And then you got some 2023 cats. You got Peter Woods, who's a #2 overall player in the class of 2023. He didn't even really play that much last year, suffered a knee injury early in the season, so they're going to get him back full and healthy. And you team him up on the D line with Alexander. I would not want to be an offensive lineman going up against Thompson. Then you got Tony Mitchell, a 5-star corner, the #1 rated cornerback in the class of 2023. But then you look at offense, man. They got this cat, Connor Harrell. This is one of the most underrated quarterbacks. Came in last year, had a big-time year. And then they got my guy Ryan Peppins at wide receiver. You know, I love that popcorn, man. I love that sauce. And Mr. Peppins brings that big-time playmaker, was named to the junior All-American squad last year. And I expect big things for Thompson this year. They're the only team in Alabama ranked in the top 25. And, you know, if you're rated in the top 10, you're going to be on that short list of teams that will contend for that #1 spot at the end of the year. And I expect Thompson to be in the mix.
Yeah, it's not just college in Alabama. They got a high school team there. Thompson at number 5 in the country in MaxPreps preseason top 25. All right, number 4. Austin Westlake. Now, they do not have a 5-star, Steve, but they carry a 24-game winning streak into the season.
Yeah, that's right. And they're coming off defending a state title here, and it was Quinn Ewers against Cade Klubnik last year in the state championship, the 4-star QB for Austin Westlake. And it was Cade. I mean, he came up big, rushing for 90 yards in that state championship game, 2 TDs. He'll be back this season. He threw for over 3,400 yards, 35 Ts, and get this, only 3 interceptions last season when they went 14-0, finished number 3 in the MaxPreps national rankings. So Austin Westlake, they got a great coach in Todd Dodd, who's been around for a long time. They're, you know, in the last 5 years, 67-7 overall. So you know this team will be back. You know they want the #1 spot, not only in the state of Texas, but in the entire country, and they'll be right there all season.
All right, so Austin Westlake out of Texas at number 4, jumping into the top 3 now as we bring you the preseason top 25 from MaxPreps just a couple of months before the season. And we go to California. California with 2 of the top 3 teams. At number 3, Zach, it's St. John Bosco, a team that finished #1 in your rankings just a couple of years ago.
And listen, St. John Bosco is probably mad. They think they should probably be #1. But I will say this, Braves, last time you were ranked number 3 to start the year was in 2019. You ended up winning a CIF Division I state title, or Open Division state title, and finished the year ranked at #1. So they're going to be in the mix this year. And the big reason why they were ranked number 3 and not #1 was because they lost to Mater Dei last spring. But they do bring back pretty much everybody, and I can't wait to watch Mateo Uiagalelei. This dude, all right, so last year he was balling on offense. He had 3 touchdown receptions. On defense, he had a pick 6, had a few sacks. This guy does it all on both sides of the field. I brought it up earlier with Travis Hunter. He could be a 5-star on offense and defense. Mateo is one of those guys, too, that could be a 5-star tight end or a 5-star defense. But then you just look all over the field with St. John Bosco. They're loaded in the secondary. Tavion Beasley, a big-time cornerback. Defensive line, you got Mateo, and then you got Nathan Burrell, a 2022 Cal commit. On offense, they got a couple of big-time quarterbacks, so it'd be interesting to see how Jason Negro plays with these 2 guys. You got Caden Hauser, a Boise State commit, and then you got Pierce Clarkson, the son of legendary quarterback guru Steve Clarkson, both big-time playmakers at the quarterback position. And one other guy I got to throw out love to is Rayshawn Speedy Luke. This dude can absolutely fly out of the backfield. And they got a big-time offensive line, Ernest Green III, one of the best offensive linemen in high school football.
All right, so St. John Bosco out of California, number 3. We're going to go to Florida for our number 2 team, and it's IMG, the team that finished number 1 last season. Everyone on the field, for the most part, Steve, is going to be a 4-star or above. That's better than 99% of college teams out there. Why weren't they able to keep that number 1 ranking?
Yeah, well, Zach will hit on the number 1 team here in a bit, Mater Dei, who's also loaded up and down. And I think, IMG Academy, what we hear all the time is, they shouldn't be in the rankings because they got kids coming from all over the country. And we understand, we get that. And it starts even right now, who we're talking about, their quarterback right now, AJ Duffy. He's coming from California to play for IMG Academy. That, like you said, they basically at every position they have, they will be playing on Saturday eventually. So we understand, but these are high school age kids playing high school teams, so they're in our rankings. And since they're in our rankings, they are loaded. They are going to be in a top 5 team, always contending for a national title. And just to bring back up AJ Duffy, he was from Rancho Verde High School in California. Didn't get to play last year, but when he was a sophomore, he tore it up. His team went 11-1. So he's coming behind JJ McCarthy, who graduated. He'll be the next QB, a big-time player for IMG Academy. Finished last year 8-0, number 1 ranking. The big question mark, though, is they do not have a head coach yet. There's talks that somebody from within will be the head coach, but they have not named a head coach as their head coach moved away. And so that will be a big question mark, obviously, for IMG heading into the season.
Okay, they come in at number 2. And Zach, for the 3rd time in 5 years, Mater Dei out of Santa Ana, California, your preseason number 1.
Yeah, and Steve brought up why wasn't IMG number 1, and the big reason why was because the continuity. That's what I love with Mater Dei is they bring back pretty much everybody they had during the spring. They played against the best competition in Southern California and looked very, very good. And then you got IMG Academy. They bring in a lot of new players, so I don't know how the chemistry is going to be right off the start. So that was the big reason why Mater Dei was ranked number 1 to start the year. But you just look at the talent they got, man. And I got to start with the quarterback, Elijah Brown. He started as a freshman last year and looked like he was a senior out there. One of the most poised quarterbacks in Southern California. He threw for nearly 1,000 yards in 6 games, but only had 1 interception. So he's a very good decision maker, and I expect an even bigger sophomore campaign. But then you just look at the defense. You got Damani Jackson, 5-star corner, number 4 rated player overall in the class of 2022, a USC commit. Then you got a big-time front 7, but the guy I got circled is David Bailey. I think this guy will end up being a 5-star when it's all said and done. He had a game last year against Servite. He had 4 sacks and also had the game-winning sack fumble in a 24-17 win against a very good Servite team, who's a 3rd-ranked team from the Trinity League in the top 25. But you just look at Mater Dei, they don't have any holes. You got a big-time coach, Bruce Rawlinson, who's been coaching there for 30-plus years, has 300-plus wins. And Mater Dei, you brought it up, this will be the 3rd time in 5 years they start ranked at number 1. In 2017, they went wire to wire as the number 1 team in the country, did not trail at any point. And in 2019, they ended up being ranked number 2 after losing to St. John Bosco. But there's a good chance with the talent Mater Dei has this year, they could go wire to wire. But they got some big-time games this year, so get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, we are ready to go. Just a couple months to go before the high school football season kicks off. MaxPreps with the preseason top 25 released today. Find it on MaxPreps with Zack Poff and Steve Montoya here on CBS Sports HQ. MaxPreps is America's source for high school sports. We've got everything from video highlights, stats, schedules, and much, much more, including your brand new preseason top 25. Check it out.